heel goes down with a shoulder. We're finding out what it is. You can't trade Stroman. Okay? Good. That means you're not getting rid of his $18 million. All right? You don't get rid of his $18 million or even part of it, you are over the final threshold. And I've been saying this from the very, very beginning, everybody. If you're over the final threshold by $1, you might as well be over it by $30 million. I know the tax is 110%, but are you trying to win a pennant or not? Is there a third baseman out there that you could acquire or a second baseman where you could move Jazz Chisholm to third that you can acquire that's going to up your payroll a little bit, but the payroll is not going to be changed? Because if you want to get under that 301 threshold and you're not trading Stroman because you can't because of Heel's injury, where is the cut? Who are you getting rid of to get under that? It doesn't exist. Everybody else makes big money. You're not trading Rodon, nor should you. Fried just got here. Cole is Cole. You need a first baseman. Goldschmidt's 12.5. You're not getting rid of Jazz Chisholm. Obviously not Volpe. The only way that you could do it to get under, because I think you're over by about $3 million right now, is to trade Trent Grisham, who makes $5 million. And he's your only backup outfielder. So if you're never getting under that threshold, doesn't it make sense to make the team more complete? And if you think that there's something in there that you could pull out of Nolan Arenado, don't you think that's better than what you're bringing in? Don't you think that's better than the third baseman that you have? Come on, honestly. In for a dime, in for a dollar. Because I'm sure the Cardinals would eat a lot of what's remaining on Nolan Arenado's contract. I know it's 3 years. I get it. But this has been a concerning week, this past week for the Yankees. You can't feel as good about them as you felt at the beginning of spring training. And it does actually expose one of the things that you should be a little concerned about. There's not much depth there. People start breaking down and going down. There's not much depth there. Not a deep team. One backup outfielder and Grisham. Some things to think about. The heel injury is huge on many fronts. It forces Stroman to be in the rotation again, and it means you're not getting under 301. So all the penalties that come with being a repeat offender, that's what's going to happen. That's why I say if you're over by $1, you might as well be over by $20 million. 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. You're the co-host now. Let's go to Trevor in Pomona, California. What's up, Trev?
Mike, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, I got a quick question for you on the Stroman topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking, right? So if we're thinking that Stroman may be able to bounce back this first half of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking that maybe then we can capitalize on a good first half and possibly then look into maybe trading him to the Cardinals for Nolan Arenado to fix the third base problem at the deadline, considering if Gill's down for some time to start the season?
Well, I mean, that always does exist if he could reestablish his value by having the first half that he had last year, if he has it again this year. But, I mean, that deal is there to be made right now. Right now. But also, people are not flying blind in this. They all see that he has struggled in the second half the last couple of years. He's not a big guy. That's why I give him such credit for having the career that he's had. I do like to. I want to push back. Everybody makes him, this underdog story that nobody believed in. He went to Duke and he was a first-round draft choice. He's not exactly somebody who was picked late in the draft. He's a first-round draft pick out of Duke. He was widely respected, and a lot of things were expected from him. And you know what? He's had a pretty good career. Let's see how he does now. I have no problem whatsoever that he had a rough outing over the weekend. None. No one should. Anybody who reads into spring training records or numbers, you just want to get yourself an ulcer. That's it. You want to get yourself an ulcer. Let's go to Peter in Brooklyn. Peter.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? Congratulations on the show and the time slot, man.
Thank you, man.
So my question was pretty much about Spencer Jones and what's the possibility of him coming up this year and being a viable option for us.
I don't think it's this year, Peter. I just unless he has somehow corrected all of the flaws in his swing, which, almost had him strike out half the time last year in the minors. It's funny because last spring training he was terrific. Didn't strike out, didn't swing and miss. And then once the season started in the minors, that's all he did. Now he's having a good spring training again this year. Again. He's not ready, though. He's just not ready. In terms of another outfielder that you could use, it's probably Everson Pereira. I don't think Spencer's ready at this point. I just don't. Time for the co-host, 1-800-919-3776. Call in now. Let's go to Richard in Manhattan. Richard. Richard. All right, now he's banned tomorrow. He can't call in tomorrow. This is the second time in a week he's been on hold. Then you go to him, he's not there. It's like he has a real job. Probably has to pull a tooth or something, right? It's not good. You're messing with the show. You're messing with the flow of the show. Let's go to LaRon in Queens. I think that's how you pronounce it. LaRon?
Yes, that's it. You said it correct. Thank you, Michael, for taking my call.
You got it.
How you doing? I was really on the football aspect. I called a little late for football, but I really wanted to talk about the Giants. All right, I just want to talk about the Giants, and I think they should stand put at the 3. And then hopefully maybe a Hunter or Carter falls to them. If you don't love the quarterbacks that's ahead of you, you shouldn't do that. And I think they can get Jackson Dart in the second round, or maybe even move up maybe a pick or two in the first round, like a 30th, 32 pick to get Jackson Dart. I think he's going to be a good player. And if you get a bridge quarterback, it should be able to transition him into playing eventually. What do you think about that? And I'll hear your thoughts.
Well, Laurent, I will tell you, I am totally aligned with you when it comes to you don't move up in the draft if you do not love Ward and you do not love Sanders. Now, as for Dart, he might move up into the first round. I don't know if he's going to be there in the second round. That's going to be an issue. Now, they have intel on him. Obviously, he went to Ole Miss, so Eli's very familiar with him. Not a perfect quarterback, but he could impress some people at the combine, and he could move up, especially because of the fact that Ward and Sanders elected not to work out. They were there just to talk with people, and I understand when you're high draft pick, you can only ruin things by throwing in the combine. A lower projected draft pick they should be able to move up. And they should be able to show people, you know what, this is what I could do. There's a lot of noise around Jackson Dart. I know that my colleague, Rick DiPietro of DiPietro and Rothenberg in the Morning, he likes Dart a lot. So we'll see. But that's why you don't want to reach for a quarterback at the top of the draft. And the bottom line is this. They're so desperate that they might have to reach. Let me remind you, we talked about it in the first hour. They don't have a quarterback other than Tommy DeVito. There's not another quarterback on the roster. So they're desperate in so many different ways. Desperate because they've got to put wins on the board to keep their job. Desperate because they have a position that's the most important position probably in sports. And they don't have anybody at that position. It ain't good. What John Mara did by retaining these guys and not giving them a long-term commitment, he has made them desperate. Desperate things or desperate people do desperate things. They could be having a discussion, you know what, Ward's not great, but I mean, we got to bring somebody in. And they might be also thinking, if we draft a quarterback with the first round pick, they got to keep us, right? I mean, how stupid would that be to get rid of us after we drafted the quarterback? They've done it before, though. They did it with Daniel Jones and Gettleman. Let's go to Kenny in Connecticut. Kenny.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, Ken.
I just want to ask you a quick question. Who do you think is a bigger waste of money? Frankie Montas, DJ LeMahieu, or Ed Frost?
You mean Montas when he was with the Yankees?
Yes.
I think he gave them like 5 innings, so, I mean, it'd be hard to top that. But at this point, LeMahieu's contract, Kenny, is an albatross. Ed Frost doesn't make that much money, and obviously that was a draft that a trade they made with the Cubs, and he's been hurt all the time. But that I don't look at that as a big waste of money. I mean, I look at the $15 million that you have to pay LeMahieu this year and next year, and if he can't stay healthy, I mean, that's a sunk cost. You also didn't put in Aaron Hicks there, too. And despite his unbelievable performance in October, I mean, what kind of value have you gotten out of Stroman? Not Stroman, but what kind of value have you gotten out of Stanton? How? I mean, he can't stay healthy. He's had one injury-free year. That was his first year with the Yankees, where he played 158 games. I think the next year he played 19. And then it was the COVID year, and he's been hurt every single year. It's a lot of money tied up in him. And also a lot of a position tied up in him that other teams use to give people rest. And they have 2 more years of him, too. They have 2 more years. So that's a little concerning. A little concerning. That's why when Hal Steinbrenner says, I believe that you should win, you should be able to win with a $300 million payroll. You don't have to go up to $380. I tend to agree with him. Because it's not that the Yankees or the Steinbrenner family is cheap. The money has not been spent that well. I'm sorry, it hasn't been. It hasn't been spent that well. The trade for Stanton did not work. It just didn't. The re-signing of LeMahieu has not worked. Hicks did not work. I mean, you're not allocating the money the right way. Again, you should be able to build a super team on $300 million. So everybody wants him to outspend the mistakes of the allocation of money. And he's probably going, no, I'm not going to do it.